Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to make a quick kind of an initial impression video about my newest gadget. So for work, and I guess maybe some home, but mostly for work, I take a lot of notes. So I got my notebook. I'm actually in my home office right now filming this, so I'm always taking notes, and I've always tried to do it electronically. So I've been down the path of every Note device. I own the Note 20 now, and I've owned every Note since the Note 2. So pretty familiar with the Samsung whole Note series, and I bought a tablet, hopefully to take notes at work, and it just didn't quite work out. For a multitude of reasons. One, the writing experience on it just doesn't feel very satisfying. Your screen goes off, so unless you're going to be have your screen set to all on, you're going to drain the battery. So I never really knew that there was a one with a stylus that was electronic ink. So that's actually how I got turned onto it, was through his YouTube channel, and I decided to kind of investigate it and went down that rabbit hole of finding a whole slew of them, and I decided to go with the it's called a Supernote A5X to be exact. And I don't want to get into the whole reasons why I chose this one. I mean, it was just it really was an easy choice because there was a lot to choose from, and right now I'm actually surprised, but no big company is making these, so that's kind of why you don't, I think, really kind of hear about these, is because it's kind of word of mouth. You don't have any companies doing any advertising to make these known that they exist. So that's kind of maybe why I didn't know about it. But long story short, I chose this one mainly for, I watched a ton of YouTube videos just to kind of understand feedback, and it was between this or the Remarkable 2. And what made me go with this one was I've heard customer service was a little bit better with Supernote, and they have a little bit more kind of smart features, because keep in mind these are very primitive tablets, and the Remarkable, I think, is very primitive. Then you have a few other ones, can't remember their name, which are kind of run on Android OS, but they kind of lack the main purpose, which is note taking. So this one seemed like the happy medium between being a good note taker and having a few kind of smart features. And I'm not really going to go too much into depth because there are much better videos on these that do a way better job than I can. I'm going to simply kind of focus on kind of documenting the difference between using a very common Tab S7 or Tab S3, or even I'm shooting this on a Note 20. So I've used a ton of Samsung S Pen devices, and like I said, for note taking, for me they always fell short. My handwriting was always I already have sloppy handwriting, but when I wrote on the Galaxy devices, it made it even worse. And, you had battery issues because, right now, you can leave this open for hours, days actually, and your battery's not going to drain. It's a very low draining screen. So if you're in a meeting, this can just be open the whole time, and as soon as a note comes up, you can take it. Where the other one, if you let it sit idle, eventually the screen dies, then you gotta quickly flick it on, and then sometimes if you have a screen light, it's just not as intuitive. This actually feels like a true paper replacement because it's always on, ready to go, and writing on it is actually, to be honest, so all of the pens from the Samsung devices work on this as well, and so I kind of played with it a little bit too, with the pens, and I actually found that the Tab S7 pen actually, feels nicer than the one included, even though the one included is a nicer pen. It's got a ceramic tip, but for some reason this one feels, I don't know, much easier to write with. Now, it could be because I'm used to it. Obviously, I've owned that for the S7 for months. This I actually just got yesterday, so haven't spent a whole lot of time getting used to it yet, but this one writes very smooth. So I don't know. Maybe I have to kind of practice. So I don't know. Maybe just take some practice. But I'm a lefty too, if you didn't notice. So I actually appreciate that this one actually I feel is a little more lefty inclined because they have the little swipe bar on the right hand side. So I imagine, maybe not, I don't know. I actually prefer it to not to, because then if I'm writing with my left hand and I want to do something, I got my right hand free. So I actually feel like this is a little bit more lefty focused than it is righty, which is a strange thing. But I'll be making a few of these after I've kind of used this, after maybe a couple weeks of use at work, and then once I kind of learn how the whole kind of operating system works. But I played with it for a couple hours, and so far it's just a joy to write on. It's very, I mean, it's just like hard to describe, but it really does feel like paper. The only thing that kind of gives away that it's not is that there's a little bit of a gap, between, the mark and the tip of your pen. So that little, like, depend what angle you're writing at, but see, I can capture it here, but you can kind of see that little space. Let me get the light on here. So you can kind of see that little, I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, that's basically impossible to not have that, but it's there, and depending on how you write, I mean, I can kind of see it, so it takes a little getting used to, but it's not too bad. But yeah, otherwise I will kind of keep you guys updated on how this device does for me. But so far, very impressive. Now, I should say this thing is not cheap. It's actually I actually think for what it is, I actually think it's kind of expensive. Now, I don't know if this e-ink technology is crazy expensive or not. I don't have that information, but this, 12-inch AMOLED, the latest Snapdragon device was actually cheaper than this one. Now, to be fair, Samsung obviously has always got sales, so I didn't pay retail price. The retail on this one is much higher than this one. So, but these S7s or almost every Samsung device, if you just wait, eventually they go on sale. So this thing was, with shipping, was just about $500. So, not cheap for a pretty minimalistic tablet. So again, I don't know if it's just economies of scale because these companies are small, so they can't really kind of get their cost down, or if these displays are just really expensive because they're not using, high-end processors or RAM or anything like that. So I don't know. Maybe someone smarter than me knows why they're so expensive. But the only thing I'm kind of disappointed in is that there is no eraser on this pen. Now they offer one with one, but it's a little annoying that it doesn't. But the pens from the S3 and the S7, they actually both erase if you hold the button down. So if you want to erase, so you can actually, it's kind of interesting that these work. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Actually, now that I'm using this one, if this one just had a finer tip, I feel like it'd be better, because this softer tip does not, I feel like, work. I don't know, maybe it's just almost too soft, like actually kind of too much friction. It works good on the glass, but I don't know about this one. Hang on, let me turn off. Too many devices are on right now. This one actually, if it was just a little bit pointier, maybe it would work better, but yeah, I think this one actually will be the winner. I just have to get used to it. I think it's the kind of I know it's supposed to be kind of like a fancy pen, but I feel like I write better with these kind of thin stick pens versus these kind of like fancy pens, but maybe I'll just get used to it. But you know, touch retention is good. Like palm rejection is spot on, has no interference. Actually, yeah. Oh, that's how you erase. Okay, now I know how to erase. All right, guys, so I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'll come back in a few weeks to kind of see how it does, because to be fair, to be fair and transparent, when I got this S3 a couple years ago, I thought it was perfect. I used it for a couple weeks taking notes, but eventually, when I came back to read my notes, I couldn't read anything. Everything was too illegible. And then, same thing with this one. I got it, although I never really attempted to use this one for note taking to the same degree as I did with the S3. This one was just a little big, but I have tried it and it wasn't bad, but I think it's the same problem. You have to keep them on, have them be ready to go, otherwise it kind of defeats the purpose. If every time you gotta take a note, you gotta turn it on. Where this one, as soon as you open it, perfect. And the battery supposedly lasts quite a while. I think you get about a whole week or so of use out of this thing. So I'll put that to test too. It's super light too. I mean, honestly, all right, it's heavier than a notebook, but maybe because of the pen. Let's with the case, it's a little heavier, but not by a whole lot. So this thing is a pretty light device. All right, we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for tuning in. I'll come back in a few weeks with another update. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.